All right, good evening, everybody. Merry Christmas. 4 days, we're close. Mr. Perry giving us a directive that in and out, it's Christmas. We'll do our best. Absolutely. We're honored that y'all came out tonight and glad you're here. Welcome to the Destin City Council regular meeting, December 21st, 2015. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Muller.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the wonderful things you've done for us in this city, state, and this country. We ask you to watch over us tonight as we do business of the city. Let it be fair and just for all parties. Watch over our families. Watch over each and every one of us. Let us not forget the reason for the season, that it's the birth of your son, Jesus. And we also ask you to watch over our troops here and abroad, keep them safe from harm, for there's what to keep the country, city, and state safe. We ask this in his name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Marler. Okay, moving through the agenda, we have approval of minutes, items 1 and 2 if need be, or we separate them. Item number 1, request approval of minutes, November 2nd, 2015, regular city council meeting. City council?
Motion to approve.
Both or one, Ms. Ramsell?
Both.
Okay, Ms. Ramsell made a motion.
Second.
Mr. Woods, a second to approve items 1 and 2. Item 2 is minutes, October 5, 2015. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Okay, next up, item number 3. This is a public hearing. Second reading of ordinance 15-14-LC, regulations for outdoor storage and parking in residential neighborhoods. Mr. Miller, please read by title.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 15-14-LC by title is an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, relating to the conservation of established residential neighborhoods by limiting the number and type of vehicles which may be stored outside, amending Article 9, Section 9.05.00, conserve and establish neighborhoods by creating a new section 9.05.00.B.6, vehicles stored outside, providing for incorporation into the Land Development Code, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. The ordinance is before you for consideration on second reading.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Costello, anything else to add to it?
No, this is consistent with what you had discussed in your September 2015 meeting, as well as the first reading, and subsequently had been referred to the LPA. So we'd ask for your approval of this.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Costello. This is a public hearing, so if any member of the public wishes to speak for or against ordinance 15-14-LC, would you please come forward and state your name for the record? Seeing none, we'll turn it over to council discussion, direction, motion. City Council?
Motion approved.
Okay, Mr. Braden. Mr. Braden is the first. Mr. Dixon has a second. Is there any discussion? Yes, but actually, Mr. Braden, mind reading the motion by title, please, sir?
Sure. Get around there.
It's on page 22 at the bottom.
Oh, there it is. Move City Council adopt ordinance 15-14-LC on second reading and direct staff to forward ordinance 15-14-LC Municipality Code Corporation for incorporating into the Land Development Code.
Thank you, Mr. Braden. Mr. Dixon, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dixon. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Okay, next up, item number 4, second reading of ordinance 15-15-CC, short-term rental regulations. Mr. Miller, please read by title.
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 15-15-CC by title is an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, relating to the registration of short-term rentals, providing for authority, providing for findings of fact, providing for an amendment of Code of Ordinances Section 13-104, definitions, providing for amendment of Code of Ordinances Section 13-106, formal application required, providing for an amendment of Code of Ordinances, Section 13-107, application for registration, providing for the creation of a new Section 13-108, general regulations, standards, providing for the renumbering of Section 13-108, fees for registration, providing for the renumbering and amendment of Section 13-109, issuance or refusal of registration, providing for the renumbering of Section 3-110, registration not transferable, providing for the renumbering of Section 13-111, expiration of registration, providing for the deletion of Section 13-114, revocation, providing for the renumbering of Section 13-115, territory embraced, providing for the renumbering and the amendment of Section 13-116, posting of signage, providing for the renumbering of Section 13-117, preemption of homeowners association, providing for the renumbering of Section 13-118, complaints, providing for the amendment and renumbering of Section 13-119, enforcement, providing for incorporation into the Code of Ordinances, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. The ordinance is before you for consideration on second reading.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Casella, anything to add?
Now, again, this is consistent with what you discussed in your September the 17th meeting. It's been to the LPA earlier this, I believe this month, and then it's now back to you for second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Casella. This is a public hearing, so if any member of the public wishes to speak for or against ordinance 15-15-CC, please come forward, state your name for the record. Mr. Wampler? If you can hit the hit button there, please, sir. Thanks.
Red light. Ken Wampler, resident Destin, also chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. Speaking on behalf of the Chamber and the vacation rental management companies that I've been in touch with in support of this amendment. The one thing I'll restate is on section 113, newly renumbered to -115, posting of signage, section paragraph 2, subparagraph B requires that signage be posted within each single family unit, not larger than 18 inches by 12 inches, not smaller than 16 inches by 10 inches. Restate my earlier request in that you make that from a practical standpoint, no smaller than 8.5 by 11, just from a practical standpoint. Other than that, full support of the code and commend the staff for doing such.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Wampler. Appreciate that. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this ordinance? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion, turn it over to City Council for motion, discussion, direction. First up is Ms. Trammell.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question, I guess, for staff. If this passes on second reading, when does this begin? When does it initiate?
It's basically going to initiate for the 2016 season. I think they get registered. Everybody has to be registered by April 1st or March 1st. March 1st. So all new registrations effective March 1st for spring break 2016 as well as the summer season.
Okay. And regarding Mr. Wampler's request, do we have any issues on the numbers? I mean, is there a reason why they're that size?
Yeah, basically that size is the size that was determined on the outside signs also, and I believe that's what we want on the inside also.
So the inside and the outside, okay, are the same? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. They're consistent.
Okay. Were you talking about both outside, just inside? Okay. Let the record show that Mr. Wampler shakes his head just the inside. I can understand his concern because you can buy a frame for an 8x10 a whole lot easier than you can buy one for a 16x18. You kind of have to have that made almost, if you're lucky. So I guess I'm all for making that change for the inside, the 8x10. Is what we're going to put on it too big to be seen well on 8x10 with 12-foot 12,
From a staff standpoint, we're fine with that also.
Again, this deals with the noise issue and the compatibility issue, letting the tenant know that they're in a residential neighborhood, be considerate of that. So if you want to make it 8.5 by 13, we're good with that. That's up to y'all.
it'd be 8.5 by 11.
11, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
8.5. All right, then I'll make the recommended motion with a change for the inside signs to be 8.5 by 11, which is a standard sheet of paper. Okay? I move the city council adopt the ordinance 15-15-CC and on second reading and direct staff to forward the ordinance 15-15-CC to the Municipal Code Corporation for incorporation into the Code of Ordinances, which my motion does include the change to the inside signs at 8.5 by 11.
So that we can get that in written form, will you take us to that provision and tell me what changes to make?
Page 7 and
It's
9.
on page 7, and it's,
Page 7 and 9 in B,
2B.
2B. We just say signage shall be 8.5 by 11, period.
and
inside.
not a range of size.
Yeah, just 8.5 by 11.
For
inside.
indoor,
Indoor.
the outdoor should
Now,
stay
this
the
is,
same
yeah,
size.
we're in the right section.
Okay.
Second, if it hadn't been seconded.
No, it hasn't. All right, thank you, Mr. Dixon. Okay, Mr. Miller, are you good on your?
Give me just a minute.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, I have that in written form presentable to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We have a first by Ms. Trammell, second by Mr. Dixon, but we do have two folks for discussion. First up is Ms. Ramswell. Oh, okay, sorry about that. Next, Mr. Braden. Okay, well, good deal. Okay, oh, gosh, sorry about that. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Next up, consent agenda, item number 5, reimbursement to Councilmember Wood for expenses incurred at the Florida Chambers Foundation's 2015 Transportation Summit in Jacksonville, Florida on December 10, 2015. City Council discussion, motion, direction?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Mr. Marlowe's a first, Trammell has a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Not on, no, we've already done for public hearings, not consent agenda. Oh, excuse me, okay, thank you, Ms. Trammell, forgive me. Thank you for calling me out. I tell you, it's Christmas. Forgive me, to those in the audience, it's my apologies, but there's a public opportunity to speak twice during the council meetings. Once will be now, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on items. In this case, we can talk about 5, need be 5 through 19. If not, the community will be welcome to speak at the end of this, end of the service, at the end of the meeting tonight. So, sorry about that. So if there's any member of the public wishes to speak regarding items 5 through 19, please come forward, state your name for the record. Okay, see, now, Mr. Trammell, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Sorry. All right, next up, item number 6 under resolutions, resolution 15-16, special election for the city of Destin mayor. Mr. Miller, please read by title.
Yes, sir. Resolution 15-16 by title is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Destin authorizing a special election pursuant to Section 3.09C2 of the Destin City Charter to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Mayor Mel Ponder, to be held coincide with the presidential preference primary election on March 15, 2016, providing for the qualifying period for the election in March 2016 to be January 4, 2016 through January 8, 2016, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Cassell, is there any more to add to that?
I think it's pretty well self-explanatory as it relates to the title.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Casella. City Council, discussion, direction, motion? Okay, Ms. Trammell, first up.
I was going to make the recommended motion. I move the city council adopt resolution 15-16, authorizing the city of Destin's special election pursuant to section 3.9, C, 2, the Destin City Charter to fill vacancy created by resignation of the mayor, Mel Ponder, to be held to coincide with the presidential preference primary on March 15, 2016.
Thank you, Ms. Trammell. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ramswell has a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's call the vote. Actually, I can some more. Mr. Marler? Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Okay, next up is project reports and comments from mayor and council. First up, Mr. Braden.
I'm good, Mayor. Let's keep this all rolling.
Thank you, Mr. Braden. Ms. Ramswell?
Ditto, same for me.
Thank you, Ms. Ramswell. Mr. Dixon?
Do have a couple things, sorry.
Mr. Braden only got number two. So.
I wanted to ask a question about, and I'm sorry I missed, I was out of town and I could not be at the last council meeting, and I really don't know if it was discussed or not. But I kind of wanted to know where we are on the derelict boat issues. I know that I'm sorry?
Yeah, I sent you an email out.
Yeah, we get emails, but I want the public to hear this.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, because that's who's coming to me.
It's all right. There is, pursuant to the email, we did have a meeting probably 3 weeks ago now, I think the first week in December, where the FWC, and they had their director of their statewide initiative on derelict boats. They have determined that there is 7 boats. One boat's already been removed, but 7 boats that fit the statutory definition of derelict. 4 of those boats were in the harbor, and 3 of them were in Joe's Bayou. And what that means is they're actively working through with the owner of those vessels to prosecute them, and eventually they'll be in front of a judge, if they don't get the boat removed, to ask for the vessel to be removed and basically from water. So there is 7 boats. 1 has been removed that got cleared. The other 3 of them are in the harbor and 3 in Joe's Bayou. As I said in the email, it can take several months to a year or more to get the vessels, through the court system. FWC will not, they have a policy, internal policy, will not remove the vessels unless they get a court order to do so. They apparently had an issue where they removed the boat, got a judgment against them for $27,000 or $30,000. So it's they're a little spooked about removing vessels without a court order. So that's working its way through. I know there's a number of boats out there that may look derelict, but they actually, the day before they met with us, actually took a tour of the waters, and 3 boats in the bayou, Joe's Bayou, and 3 boats in the harbor are now their active cases that they're working through to prosecute them and have those boats removed. As soon as they give us the order to remove them, there is a state grant through the county that we can either remove them or the county can remove them and reimburse us, and we work through that. So that's the progress we made on it today. So.
Okay, just to say this, that all those boats combined are probably not worth $3,000. So, we were out there yesterday and, putting a good friend out to sea that passed away here not long ago, and it's very embarrassing. It's an eyesore. It's going to be a detriment to our community, and I hope we can do something about that as soon as possible. And if we need to, contact our legislative delegation and see if we can get that expedited. So that's all for that. I wanted to ask now too, I had been assured at the city council meeting about 2 months ago that when the paving was done on Red and Brunson Road, that there was going to be a ditch that was basically taken care of going across Forest Drive there. I'm very disappointed that we didn't get that taken care of while they were there paving Red and Brunson Road. What I want to know is, how long is it going to take to get that fixed? I've told people that that was going to be taken care of. It's not been taken care of, and I don't want to wait till we get our continuous service contractor back in Destin to do some piddly work someplace. I think this is something we need to take care of as soon as possible, and I'd like us to put a rush on that. Is there a way to do that?
And we've already issued a work order to Destin Water Use as part of their project, and we were expecting the contractor out there a week or so ago, but it's been delayed, so we are pushing them to get out there sooner than later.
I'm very, very disappointed we didn't do that when that equipment was there, just so everybody knows.
I understand.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm on the Water Users Board, and at our meeting the other day, this subject came up, and what the city's doing is going through the contract that Water Users has already that's paving, so that it's gonna get done much sooner.
Well, what happened is they finished paving the road, and they dumped enough asphalt on the side of the road to have done the little patchwork, but they're finished with that, they're gone, so that won't happen. So we're gonna have basically remobilize equipment out there to get it done, and like I said, I'm disappointed we didn't do it. I know there's mistakes made, but I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to lay blame on anybody. I just want to get it fixed, and that way we won't have to, but the equipment is gone, and they were there. So, anyway, not laying blame, and I do realize that people forget things or make mistakes, but it does make us look pretty bad whenever I commit to something and get commitment from the city to do it, and it doesn't get done. But, just please, I'm asking to get it done as soon as we can.
I think you got that commitment, sounds like, yep. Okay, anything else?
Not at this time, but maybe here in just a little bit, I might want to talk about something else.
That's right. All right, thank you, Mr. Dixon. Next up, Mr. Foreman.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Mr. Marlar?
The only thing I have, Mayor, is wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, because we won't see each other again in formal session until January 4th.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Marlar. Appreciate that. Ms. Wood?
Nothing tonight, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Trammell?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind everybody that we are in a holiday season, and I know that the Sheriff's Department is working diligently. I had a neighborhood watch meeting at my home last Monday, and learned a lot of things. One of the things is that out of all the break-ins we've had lately, 6 of them were in homes that didn't even have doors locked. So I want to remind you, please lock yours to your house and your car, and turn on your night lights if you have them, because we are in that season, and we just need to be diligent and vigilant. I'd also like to send prayers out to the Sheriff's Department for their K-9 that fell 30 feet through the roof last night and broke a leg while searching an attic, believe it or not, in my neighborhood, for suspects that had broken into a home. And I understand he's had surgery and is expected to recover, but I pray he'll come back into service after all that training. So please just be vigilant and be careful, and everyone have a very Merry Christmas.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. Likewise, I as well wish everyone in the city a Merry Christmas to you and your families. It's a time of year, obviously a lot of reflection as we approach the finish line of 2015 and make plans for 2016, and it's time to pause and reflect. It's also a time to be remembering of family and loved ones, and so we just honor that. That's what I think our community is founded on, and so other than obviously fishing, but it's family. So I like this time of year, so I wish everyone an amazing Merry Christmas. I hope everyone enjoys themselves. Mr. Perry, thank you for the jelly. That's a gift. Thanks very much for that. It's a red pepper jelly, so I can put it on cream cheese. Oh my goodness, all right, nice. All right, put it on toast? Good.
Or biscuits.
Okay, awesome. Well, I've got obviously one more meeting that I'll be mayor of, and so I'll wait and reserve some comments for that meeting. But for tonight, I do have the honor of going through city manager performance evaluation. Before you, based on track record of prior councils, I have a document that's been prepared called Executive Summary Recommendation for City Manager Evaluation. I'll read from this, and then I'll get down to what I believe, based on my little bit of input. Obviously, it's y'all as City Council input I've gone through. most of your comments for those that submitted city manager reviews, and then I'll kind of justify why I got to my recommendation at the end, and then turn to city council for any discussion, direction, or motion at that point in time. Okay, to Destin City Council from Mayor Mel Ponder, executive summary and recommendation for city manager evaluation. The city manager's performance evaluation form was provided to each of you in order to assist in your evaluation of the city manager's performance during this past year. And in accordance with Section 3 of Resolution 13-08, each of you took the opportunity, most of you, I should have, took the opportunity to complete a written or oral evaluation of the city manager's performance fiscal year 2015 as follows. Exhibit A, during November, council members may elect to meet individually with the city manager to discuss the city manager's performance during the previous fiscal year. Should council members decide to utilize the city manager performance evaluation form, it shall be signed and retained by the city manager. Exhibit A, during December, the city manager shall meet and provide the mayor with copies of completed evaluation forms. The mayor shall prepare a recommendation for city council consideration. I've worked in accordance with Ms. Jankowski, and she's assisted me and provided me a copy of what I needed in order to get to the numbers we have for tonight. So in accordance with Section 3, I've met with the city manager and have reviewed and Ms. Jankowski and reviewed copies of the performance evaluations that were completed by the elected officials, the written evaluations form, the basis upon which this executive summary and recommendation was written. A brief summary is as follows. The city manager performance review is broken down into several categories, and I'll read the scoring based on each. The general management performance ratings reflected are based on the highest rating of 5.0. The professional skills reflected a rating collectively of 4.25. Communication skills reflected a rating of 4.07, and the administrative leadership skills reflected a rating of 4.21. That's all under the heading of general management performance. Under the heading of strategic goals accomplishments, performance ratings reflected are based again on the highest rating of 5.00. The goals accomplished section reflected a rating of 3.55. Conclusion, a 1% COLA cost of living was approved during the fiscal year 2015 adoption process. Consequently, the city manager's pay is currently $119,704. A merit increase of 2% was contemplated for the fiscal year 2016 budget submitted by the city manager. However, the merit increase is based on performance evaluation, which is outside of the COLA. Recommendation, based on the city manager's overall score, which is 3.90 on the city manager's performance evaluation, I am suggesting not a 2%, but 1% merit increase effective for the 2016 budget period. And the reason being is, in terms of the strategic goal accomplishments, when looking at that, but those that know me, I like to focus on what we're doing right, not what we're doing wrong. Although I recognize there's things that we're doing wrong, we need to learn from them so they can tighten up the screws per se, so we can go forward. I like to focus on things of that nature, and what I saw in the strategic review is the things that were complete or on target totaled 55% of everything that he was tasked with. So we're more than half were either complete or on target. Of the remaining, only 19% of the strategic objectives were behind. So if you look at that, 81% were either ongoing, needed more resource, completed, or on target. And so based on that, I believe, coupled with the other high scores he really received, and I kind of look back past on what we did face past year. I know we had a lot of there was obviously some discussion, some things more tense than others, but collectively we got through another series of flooding. We got Restore Act money. That was a huge plus for the city. The Leonard Destin Park, a huge plus for the city. Comp plan, obviously, we went through last week, a huge plus for the city. Bond money, a huge, tremendous savings for the city. And so really collectively overall, I felt like we achieved some major things within the community, which warrant, in my opinion, him receiving not 2, but a 1% merit increase. But again, that's a city council discussion, and so that is my recommendation based on input I received from those that did submit his city manager review, and I submit that now to the city council for discussion, motion, if anything at all, and so that's my 2 cents. City council? You can give thought to that, or you can, Ms. Bramwell?
I'll make the motion that the COLA is not,
That's separate.
we don't move for that, that's
No.
already there, okay.
Right, that's just a
I just
merit.
wanted to double check. I make the motion that we, give the city manager 1% merit increase, for this year?
It'd be for fiscal year 2016.
Yeah, for fiscal year 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Trammell. Mr. Trammell is first, Mr. Foreman has a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion passes 6-1.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Dixon?
may I interrupt? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I did speak briefly, with Ms., Councilmember Ramswell just before the meeting, and, you know, it's nothing about anything that's going on here tonight or anything like that, but, I would like to see if we could maybe, ask, Councilmember Ramswell and the city manager if they would be willing to meet with somebody of caliber of Mr. Keith Howard or something like that, and see if we can maybe have a little conflict resolution, and see if the city manager would be open to that, and I think Ms. Randwell would be. Just wanted to see whether or not that may be possible.
It's definitely a valid submission, by all means. If that's a desire on both parties, Mr. Casella?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't envy Mr. Howard.
Well, it doesn't have to be him, but somebody mutually acceptable. And what I hate is the fact that we may have tension up here, and in some cases, and I'm not blaming anybody or anything like that, but I do know that our last meeting was kind of contentious, and the fact is that everybody's kind of got to work together here, and I just I don't mean to put Ms. Ramswell on the spot at all. Please don't think that. But just wanted to see whether or not that might be possible. It could make this a whole lot easier on everybody.
You know, and I don't mean to be flippant. I'd be more than willing to try to, work through any issues that we have. I mean, Mr. Howard's not willing to do it, we'll find somebody else that's mutually agreeable, and we can sit down and hopefully we can clear there.
I won't make that in the form of a motion because of what it is, but I just say that just to say it in an open meeting. So.
Well, if it's after January 15th, I'd be honored to do it.
And as I mentioned to him, of course, I mean, obviously, our whole goal is getting things done in the interest of the community. So
Yep.
whatever it takes, I mean, we are
We're friendly.
conducting agenda meetings and things are going professionally, but of course, I'm on board for anything.
That's
Thank
great,
you
Mr.
so
Chairman.
much.
If
Thank you, Mr. Randy.
the mayor's volunteering, are you over the mayor?
The mayor would be fine. I just
It'd be after the
name out
15th, have to be after the 15th of
there,
January.
which, that's fine.
Purple, you go, okay? Okay.
Yeah, be honored
That's
to.
fine.
Thanks, yeah. End of the day, as I said before, family. And so, we're gonna be, Mr. Foreman?
Yeah, I have a comment. Before most of us here, we have a little piece of paper that looks like this. And it has on it the House Rules, Code of Conduct and Civility for the City Council. This was brought up in June of 2012. I wasn't on the council at that time, but I do agree with it. And the thing is, I think it outlines some things in there that we probably all need to review with regard to how we conduct our business here. And that may help, in some instances, to remind us that we have an obligation to each other as well as to the public. And I think that would be my thoughts on the subject.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Foreman, appreciate that. Always a good reminder to have before us. Okay, thank you, City Council, for that. Also a vote of confidence from Mr. Casella. All right, next up, staff reports and recommendations. First up, Mr. Miller.
I don't have any other items, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Shirley is not here, so we'll pass on that. Next request for, number 17, request for contingency funding for community center HVAC system. Either Mr. Casella or Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, this is an item that been in the works for a while, but we initially bid it out. The bids were too high. You rejected the bids, rightfully so. We've now been working with the city's continuing services contract. We think we have an approach to the replacing the air conditioning system at the community center. It's a lot of money. It's $112,000 some dollars, but it's It gives us basically a 2 air handler and 2 units outside, and it gives us the reliability that we're looking for. So we'd ask for your consideration of the recommended motion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Casella. City Council discussion, direction, motion. First up, Mr. Dixon.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about for the community center, but it's my understanding that the AC is not working in this building, am I correct?
No, it's in the process of being repaired there. That task order or contract was given several weeks ago, so it's in progress.
Let's cancel the community center and fix this up here. I'm just kidding. But I'd like us to get it fixed. It's hot in here.
We're good on this side. It's cold on this side. Yeah, we'll flip next meeting. We just flop. That's good. Yeah, it was good. Mr. Wood's good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dixon. Next up, Ms. Trammell.
I'll make a recommended motion. I move that the city manager be authorized to enter into a contract with D&D Air Conditioning, Heating, and Electrical Services for the purchase and installation of new community center HVAC system for $112,362, funded from the city fund balance, and with the appropriate budget amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Trammell. The first is Mr. Braden, the second, or is that discussion?
Discussion, Mayor.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Marlar has a second. First by Ms. Trammell, second by Mr. Marlar. First discussion, Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Campbell, is we putting that unit up on a wood platform, or we actually gonna put a slab for it?
We're actually going to pour slab for the 2 units.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Braden. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a first by Ms. Trammell, second by Mr. Marlar. Let's call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. Okay, next up, item number 18, Destin Youth Council membership appointments. Mr. Casella?
You have before you a series of applications, individuals who would like to be on the youth council. I think how many slots do we have? A total of 16? 14. You've got 8, so I think this would be enough to get us to quorum. So we would ask for your consideration of these applicants.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Casella. First up, Mr. Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. Since we have a different number of applicants than from the members of the City Council, I'm going to move to appoint all 8 applicants to the Destin City Council.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ramswell has this, I'm sorry? Youth Council.
The Youth Council. I like my job up here, thank you.
Ms. Ramswell, is that good for you on the second?
That works for me.
Okay,
Maybe we need replaced up here, maybe that's it. So.
All right, first by Mr. Wood, second by Ms. Ramswell. Mr. Dixon, you have first up for discussion.
Yes, I know we have a hard time sometimes getting enough people to do this. Why is the number, and I certainly want everybody that wants to participate, but why is the number so high on the amount of people we have on this? 14 is a large number, and you know, I'm not saying that we need to, I certainly want these children to be able to participate if they want to and put them in there, but I think we can narrow the number down as maybe by attrition and maybe not have so many on there that we fall short of a quorum because we don't have enough people that show up, and if it just doesn't, just a lot of people for that, you know.
Yeah,
so.
Initially, to give you a little history, and not to throw your sister-in-law under the bus, but as this was created, there was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and we had a lot of individuals who wanted to participate. So I think it was expanded to the 14 to allow all that participation. And it's ebbed and flowed based on the interest and enthusiasm. So 8's a good number, and it's at times it's very difficult to get the 14, folks that you would need. So you want to let right away?
Mr. Bailey?
If council decides they want to change the number, we can bring the bylaws back for you to approve. We have to amend the bylaws.
Amend the bylaws at the next meeting to be okay with the 8 or.
And I guess that we need to have an odd number here though, right? I mean, no? Okay.
After this. Okay.
It's fine with me, just look at it.
You want brought back?
If he needs a second, I'll second.
Yeah, I'll make
That's
the
an-
motion that we. and
Mr.
how
Mills,
many-
that take a motion for that, to bring the bylaws back?
No, we'll just bring those back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, perfect. Get that, council? Okay, good. I'm sorry? Oh, okay, yes, I've got several people. Ms. Ramswell, you're first?
I spoke, I'm
Oh,
done.
yeah, okay. Thank you, Ms. Ramswell. Ms. Trammell?
It was gonna break a finger over here.
You're
Or
right.
the
I got
button,
you.
one or
I
the
got
other.
you.
I don't know, in the past, one of the problems we've had is because of these high school students and their extracurricular activities, we had to have a large number just to be able to make the quorum. And I don't think the quorum is as high, is it, what is the quorum?
Quorum is 7.
7. So
Based
we
on
only
your
have like 7 there. And then a lot of their projects have been projects that they have done themselves, and with only 7 people, it'll make it almost impossible to get some of those projects they've selected. Now, they may select something else in the future, I don't know, but you know, a lot of the times they were actually out volunteering and doing those things, and it was something they decided on and went and did. So if there's only 7 of them, it's gonna make it hard to do that. So that was the consideration in having 2 per council member, is essentially what was decided at the beginning. So, just for information.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wood, and then Mr. Foreman.
Yeah,
and Ms. Ramswell.
I'll chime in on Sandy's comment. I know when my daughter was on, she had band practice on the same day they had council meetings. It was a constant struggle to get from one here over to Fort Walton Beach for band practice within, 3 minutes was always tough to do. So, if I could, Ray, when we bring back the bylaws, can you bring back some historical data on participation levels? I don't need every meeting, just I'd like to see a kind of a thumbnail sketch of, we had 10 folks sign up, and generally 7 or 8 of them showed up at most of the meetings to see what the history is.
Well, I may also mention, this is the first time in 8 years that we have had trouble getting applications. We usually have enough every year except this year, and I'm not sure why.
See, but even having enough, though, you have some meetings where the tennis team is on, the band's gone, and I know my daughter had a couple where there was not a quorum, even though you had 14 folks. So, and that doesn't, the fact that you have 14 on the team, mean you're gonna have a quorum all the time, so, unfortunately. So, all right, thanks.
And Ms. Ramsey, your lights up. Mr. Foreman had his finger up a second ago, so I want Mr. Foreman and Ms. Ramswell.
Okay.
And Ms. Trammell.
For some years, I was the chairman of the Boys State American Legion Committee, which looked for the same type of individuals and people. And what I did is I contacted the counselors down at the high school, the Fort Walton Beach High School, and they provided me the best students in the entire class every time. And they were all people that wanted to work on projects and things like that, and I was just totally impressed by it. So that might be a good source. I mean, just they would send me the list of people that they had available to do that, and I would explain to them what we were doing, and then I got just a ton of volunteers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Foreman. Ms. Ramswell?
Do we know when they have their meetings? Do they decide that on their own and it's different each year? or-
According to their bylaws, 4th Thursday. However, they can change that every month, and they always do, because
So they can,
they talk about each other's schedule and then they adjust their schedule accordingly.
okay, that was gonna be my suggestion, is if it stated a certain day and time, maybe that wasn't conducive anymore.
Yeah,
but
to change, they have to do it
can
via,
change it.
they have to do it via mission, and,
Thank you, Ms. Ramswell. Ms. Trammell?
The other thing too is, Destin Middle School has reinstituted its student council. It had gone by the wayside for a while, and now it's come back. So we will have 8th graders that have had opportunities to be on student council and student government within their own school in middle school, coming up to high school now, which we haven't had for the last 4 years. So I think there's an opportunity for kids to get involved in some of that earlier, because it'll be, the whole middle school will have it there. So they'll have opportunities to get used to that by the time they get to high school, instead of it being some kind of foreign thing. But have we advertised?
we advertise 4 times. We've also asked the local high schools for assistance. We circulated the applications, we sent them copy of applications. And the previous members also tried to recruit other members.
How many of these kids are returning from last year, do you know?
5,
5 of them?
about 5.
Okay, so they're working, we've got 3 new ones.
Yeah.
We'll hope to get them some more. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Trammell and others. We have a general consensus to bring it back, and so it'll come back before City Council near term. Okay, next up is item 19, City Manager, Mr. Casella.
Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Miller said we didn't vote on it.
I don't think they voted.
Mr. Miller said we didn't need to. He said general consensus to bring it back.
Okay.
We can.
Now, the
Oh, the 8.
The appointments.
Did we vote that already? Oh, we didn't do that. Okay, I'm sorry. Did
We
vote?
just have the clerk read the motion, please.
Please, Mr. Daly, thanks. Jeepers. All right. Mr. Perry's just kind of, I just feel the pressure. I feel the pressure. Please, Mr. Bailey, read the motion.
The motion was to appoint all members, all 8 members to the Destin Youth Council.
Correct.
Thank you. We have a first by,
And would someone read those names into the record, please?
Mr. Wood, would you do that? Then Ms. Ramsell can just confirm.
Got it. Skylar Bevan, Noah De Silva, Cameron Farah, Tony Payne, Grayson Shackelford, Austin Spann, Adam Van Belkom, and Ryan Wagner.
Ms. Ramswell, are you good with that?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Ramswell. Okay, first by Mr. Wood, a second by Ms. Ramswell. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, let's call the vote. Motion passed unanimous, 7-0. All right, now item number 19, City Manager comments. Mr. Casella?
Yeah, 2 quick things. You had asked at the last Envision Destin meeting to reach out to the attorney that we retained to do the easement issue relating to the Heritage Park as it relates to doing land use zoning issues as parcel B and C. He does not feel that he is qualified to do that review. He said real estate and land use are 2 separate disciplines, and in his words, he said, I wouldn't hire myself to do that. So, and I think, I appreciate his honesty. We are drafting you up a memorandum of the, and looking at the minutes and everything from 1996 to current as relates to parcel B and C. My suggestion to you is once you get that, if there's still any doubt, and we'll continue to look for a land use attorney that could give us that second opinion on parcel B and C. But I think it's going to be pretty clear what the city council did back in 1996 and subsequently in 2005 and in 2007, specifically to parcel B and C, both on the future land use as well as the zone issues. We'll give you the minutes and everything so you can see how it was approved. But if that's okay with you, we'll stay the course on that.
We did have 2 members just for discussion on that. If that's okay. Okay, first up, Mr. Brady.
Thank you, Mayor. Did the attorney give you any indication of how long it will take him to get us an answer back on that easement?
We're shooting for your second meeting in January. That's, I think that's January 19th, which is a Tuesday. If all goes well, he should have you the second legal opinion on that on January 19th. If my, that's correct, I think that's the second meeting because we have the holiday in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Ms. Trammell?
How long do you think it'll take to get us that information? I mean,
I'm hoping to have it to you, if not by the end of this week, early next week. We're researching through the minutes and everything, so we can I want to make sure you have everything we have in our possession, so you can see the basically legislative trail.
okay, so we would know by next council meeting whether or not we want to.
Absolutely. You'll know by January 4th whether or not you have any ongoing questions once you read the package.
Okay, all right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sell. Thank you, Ms. Trammell. Okay, next topic.
Just a reminder, we anticipate some rainfall in the next 3 days. It's going to be a lot, within 5 to 6 inches, but we think spread out over the next 24 to 48 to 72 hours. So we'll be on top of it, but it is going to get pretty wet here in the next 2 or 3 days.
What about Friday?
Well, it may rain on Friday, but heavy rain's coming, so.
Can we make it snow instead of rain?
My goodness.
Be okay with a white Christmas for once?
that it? Mr. Dixon? Yes, Mr. Dixon?
I'm hoping that we got our public services crews out, checking our storm drains and making sure that things aren't plugged up and so we don't have issues that we could have taken care of.
And we do that, but that's why I'm letting everybody know that, you know, we could be experiencing some rain, but public services crews will be out clearing any storm drains, of any debris or leaves or that kind of thing.
Please, Ms. Randall?
I thought I remembered hearing you or someone saying the last flood that we had, that one of the pumps had an issue, and they were searching for another part. That may have been resolved that night or that next day, but all the pumps, if necessary,
I think
are
we
in
had a
working
fuel filter that Mr. Braden helped.
So that's all fixed and everything's, okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsdale. Anything else, Mr. Casella? Okay. All right, next and last is comments from the audience. So any member of the public wish to come speak about whichever you'd like. You have 5 minutes to do so, and the mic is now open. There? No? All right. All right, well, we'll close that. And again, I tell you what, Merry Christmas. Y'all enjoy the next few days. Be careful with rain coming. This past year, I tell you, it's been an amazing honor to be your mayor, and we have a great city, a lot to be proud of. We achieved a lot, and just hold on, buckle up. 2016 is going to be another great year. All right, many blessings to you, and Merry Christmas. This meeting is adjourned.